Hey guys, Shalreth here with another exciting day of Fire Emblem Heroes. Today we're going to be talking about the new heroes, Ephraim, Erikia, E- Erika, Julia, and Seliph. So let's go ahead and start off with the first one, the Restoration Lord. So at first glance, this guy is pretty darn powerful. A possibility of 54 attack with the right attack nature, pretty crazy high. I think that's second or third highest attack in the game. Very powerful. And then we get to the speed stat, not super great. And 29 with a speed nature, not too great. He is probably going to get doubled by most um, heroes that are at least being used in the arena. He's going to outspeed or at least be equal with a lot of other heroes. But really, you're probably going to be looking at a 25. If you can get the ideal speed, that would be probably the best nature, I'd say, just because defense wise, he's going to get double attacked a lot. Has really strong defense, especially if you got the defense nature. 35 is very strong, and 32 is actually still pretty strong, even with a neutral nature in defense. And then resistance is low. Can't have everything. This guy's very tanky, 48 life, 35 defense. There's not going to be a lot of stuff that's going to stop him. So let's go ahead and get into his skills. Resolve combat as if the foe suffered defense and resistance minus 30%. Paired with his attack, oh my gosh, he's going to be doing stupid damage. Just crazy, crazy damage. And then also grants adjacent allies plus 3 attack. It's useful. Um, I There are other stats that are better in terms of other skills, like the +4 attack to AOE to in everyone 2 spaces. So there are better, but he does offer a lot. He does a lot of damage. He is tanky, and then he's also granting this attack bonus. It's just more. It's icing on the cake. Seal defense. We've talked about it. I think seal defense is better than seal attack, but the seals are not super great in PvP just because you're trying to one-shot your enemy. So with his moonbow, he should actually one-shot most enemies with 1 attack without having to double. Because you think about 30% defense, so even if someone has 30 defense, they're now at 20. Well, I guess like 21, just to be 100% accurate. They'd be at like 21. So, but that's a huge decrease in their defense, going from 30 all the way down to 21. So you're going to be doing a whole lot more damage. So most likely you're going to be one-shotting, especially if you have the weapon triangle and your advantage. So you're not going to really see this have much use. PvP, maybe if we get boss battles, hopefully that's what I'm hoping for. We'll actually get to see some of these seals get into use, and I think we'll have to diversify our teams right now than just those one shot everybody. Um, Threat and defense. This is actually very powerful as well. The only downside is it's the start of each turn, so your hero would have to be next to the enemy, or at least within 2 spaces. There are a couple maps where you could effectively use this, so please don't count this out as, oh, you're never going to use this. This is actually going to have some use, and I think people are overlooking this. There is a lot of discussion about, is he S tier, is he A tier, is he B tier? Definitely not B tier. I definitely would say he's more of A plus to almost S, just because he has a whole lot in his kit that he's bringing. He's just bringing this massive damage. A lot of people are upset with his speed. His speed's not terrible, but it's not good. But that's really no reason to overlook him. He's very powerful. If you got him, congratulations. I got him, and he's been really tearing people up. All right, so on to the Restoration Lady. So now she is a very good offensive uh, support unit. So attack 46 is pretty high. Speed 35, very good. Defense 30, well, so we don't actually know what her speed is. So I don't want to say that her speed's very good because it could be 32 is the average and then 29 would be the low. So if 35 is high, if you got that might be a high. If that's the even and you can get to 38, then she's definitely got good speed. Resistance or defense at the neutral is 26, and defense at the or resistance at the neutral is 28. Still very fairly tanky. Good speed to avoid getting doubled, and decent attack, and then some pretty good HP. Has the same buff, very useful, and she has pivot, which has some uses. I think there's other better movement skills. Drag back is pretty useful. We've seen some play where that's gotten a lot better with people understanding how positioning works and using a dancer to kind of attack and drag back. But I think drag back's probably one of the more powerful ones, as along with smite. Pivot has some uses just in case somebody does get caught off guard. Um, and then she has drag back. Oh, so it wasn't. I think it's the one that Nino has. I don't remember what it was called. The drag back is where you attack and then you the opponent moves into the space that you were in. The other one I'm thinking about is the one that Nino has. That's like drawback, I think is what it's called. And then she also has AoE speed boost. So paired with her attack boost and speed boost, anyone that's around her is going to be doing pretty well. And pivot can be used to help get your mage into attack and then rotate them behind her so she can kind of tank, especially with her how tanky she is. Definitely has some really good use. I'd say that she's the better sword user, the red sword user of the bunch that got added, and there was only two. So I think she's the better one. So let's go ahead and move on to Julia. So Julia is going to be super effective against dragons. Has pretty high attack. Decent speed. Again, not terrible. If you got the speed nature, you might have some decent speed. Defense is terrible. Resistance is actually really good. The problem is her speed is most likely you're going to have the neutral nature in speed unless you happen to get lucky. And even if you had the speed nature, you're going to be slower than a lot of units. And you're going to get taken out fairly easily because you're going to get doubled and you don't have good defense. So she's weak to all the sword users. And you can see she's going to get doubled really hardcore, and with 42 attack, she's going to get taken out very easily. Her ability to one-shot people is unfortunately not very high. And that's why I think Nino has some potential, because she's right now she's the flavor of the week. Everyone's saying Nino, 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 and it's mainly just because of her high speed and the ability to stack buffs. Now, Julia will be able to take out dragons one shot, no problem, and most likely any of the blue tome users. So she has some use, but anyone with a decent amount of resistance is going to hamper her ability to one-shot anyone. She does get this resistance boost, which is good, and then heals all adjacent allies. Also, very helpful if you are dealing with very tanky units, and that way you can kind of out-sustain your enemy. If you're playing the one-shot game, the heals aren't really going to help. Resistance, you really don't have to worry about it. Her base resistance is already so high, it's just going to get ridiculous. She can't be killed by most mages, but you're most likely not going to use a mage to kill her. You're going to use a red sword user, and she's just going to get torn like a piece of paper, unless you can protect her. Dragon Fang is really good. 4-turn cooldown, way too long, especially in the PvP aspect. It's just going to take too many turns to try and get this going. If you could really, if you do happen to get this off, you're going to one-shot somebody. But unfortunately, 4 turns is just far too long to wait. All right, and then the Hair of Light, or the Air of Light. Sorry about that. All right, so good attack, really high HP. Again, terrible speed, decent defense, and then pretty low resistance. So her attack, or her weapon, gives her +4 defense when she's below 50% health. Is that really going to help her? Maybe. Not so much though. She already has fairly good defense. She's just going to become that much harder to kill by any kind of physical damage, but most likely you're going to be using either Lind or Robin to kill her, especially in the PvP if you're using them. Kagero's most likely not going to one-shot her with 30 defense, and then if she does get below 50, you're most likely not going to one-shot her. You would double her just because of how low her speed is, so there is a possibility of still killing her, but she's going to get even more tanky. I think this would activate in between her second shot and her first shot. I'm not sure. Gets even more tanky with this +5 HP, and then she also gets to make a immediate follow-up when she's below 50% health. So she really strives when she's below that 50% health. But in the world of PvP, it's a very dangerous game to be trying to take enough damage to get below 50% health so you can actually start activating your skills. And like I said, she doesn't offer too much support other than the fact that she gets this +4 speed, which is good. But I would say that the other Red Sword user is much better in this set that was released. So if I did happen to pull her, I have been using her. She is useful, but I don't think she's going to offer enough, just because I don't think she's going to have enough attack to one-shot anyone other than the mages, and Kagero's going to do well enough against the mages that you don't really have to worry about trying to get in close with a melee user. You're just going to get caught out of position. So that's it for the guides. They're all 5 stars, so I'd probably just keep them even if you're not going to use them, just because you never know what might happen in the future, if anybody gets any changes, any buffs or nerfs or anything like that. So we might see some use out of them, but really if you were to use one of them, I would most likely use Ephraim or Eureka, just because they are, I think, are the most useful out of the two. So alright, thanks guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next time.